What's up, everybody? It's your favorite, you know what kind of review this is going to be, his favorite nerd, and today we are looking at Omnigonix Spinout. And I guess we should talk about how I got this guy to be in my company. Shout out to the whole community. I've had people lining up around the block to send this thing to me. The person that got it out first to me are the people from Toy Dojo. So let's talk about that. You know, I like to be as transparent as possible. They hit me up and asked if I would like to take a look at it. I said, sure. So, shout out to them. I asked them what happens if something breaks. And they said, don't sweat it if something breaks. So then I got excited. And then they said, just don't take a hammer to it or anything. And I got irritated. But, you know, whatever. Because I like a good bash up. If this thing is as bad as people say it is, we're going to talk about that. What's even cooler is that they said, look, we know you won't advertise this, we know that's not what you're about, but would you give us a shout out? So I definitely respect their approach. Apparently they respect mine, so by all means, Toy Dojo, here's your shout out. Thanks for letting me take a look at it. I'm going to try not to take the hammer to it, but no promises. We have this bit of business. It plugs into his forearm. I, for the life of me, can't figure out a way to go into the vehicle. I looked at Mr. T2RX6's review. Shout out to him. That's another dude who really keeps his composure, keeps his game face on at all times, and even he started to crack on this thing, so I can only imagine what the future holds for me. But it does have a nice silver finish to it. That is a paint, at least it appears to me. Absolutely it is. Good detailing, good sculpt work, and such. He has a firearm, as one does. Same sort of finish, the silver finish. You know, I'm being nitpicky for nitpick's sake, but this is something that I'm noticing on this that I don't normally notice on most third-party stuff. Let me get this out of the way so we can focus properly. But there's like a flash trim, so to speak, around the cut of this mold. Like, you can see it. It's a good example of it's there and up on top of the ridge here. Like, you go in with an X-Acto knife and clean that up, you'll probably lose some of the paint. But it is something weird. It's just something I'm not used to seeing with this. And then we have an optional helmet. We got the blue eye paint, which does look quite good. I must say, that blue paint on those eyes looks great. And then the yellow paint, which probably could have used a second coat. Yellow is probably, in their defense, the most difficult color to paint with, especially over black, so they had their work cut out for them. It just doesn't look like they saw it all the way through. Now let's look at this fella. He rolls, but the wheels are extremely tight. And this one's a little cattywampus, if you catch my drift. But they're a little tight, but it rolls. It's just not a good roll. You put a little pressure on, like you see that one is like all cattywampus there. Ooh, wacky wild action bike that's hard to ride. That type of deal. Underneath cleans up, I would say, exceptionally well. You can see the difference already between the yellow plastic and the yellow paint. When the yellow paint does look good. I like the detailings on the windows. It seems to be a darker translucent than Sunsurge, so I dig that too. You know, I would prefer it to just be black plastic, honestly, but I know people like their translucent, so fair enough. I can see yellow paint up in there that's not applied well over black and stuff like that. That's kind of to be expected when you're doing yellow over black. The same silver finish both on here and here. That's the same that's on the hubcaps as well. That's all fine. I like the yellow markings on the windows. That looks good. I like this bit of business here, but for some reason it doesn't seem like enough. But it does look cool. It does look interesting. There's tons of interesting stuff going on with it. The exhaust are painted. The back of it is outstanding. So I'll say that. And outside of that, I can't think of too much to comment on. The windshield wiper was not, like when I received mine, it was not plugged into this port here. So I got it out of the box, and I thought it had, you know, driven through Watts or something and got hit by a drive-by. It was a little bullet wound in there, like my favorite types of strippers. But it doesn't. It's for this, which is a windshield wiper, and that plugs in here. I think it only plugs in one kind of way, like that, and then it does, you know, articulate a bit before it starts popping out. To be fair, I'm trying to get some good marks, because if I say the good things now, it'll all pay off later. But yeah, it's not hateful in car mode. It's a pretty good silhouette. It's a pretty good likeness. Let's take a look at him next to Tiger Tracks. Tiger Tracks had tons of yellow paint problems as well, but I don't hate that at all. Let's take a look at whether or not he will fit into this bad boy. No problems there. Alright, so let's get this thing transformed. Before we do, I just want to reiterate how disappointed I was that they didn't allow me to donate this to the plastic hammer of justice. Ooh. Ah. Jaina?
Yeah.
Bring Daddy his tools.
Oh boy.
Can I help you?
You can help me.
Yeah. Can I help with that tool too?
Sure.
Yes.
Why do I even have one of these? Seriously, who gets one? Don't take a hammer to it. You're not the boss of me. Open these up here in the back. And then you can move this whole back section up and kind of get it out of the way. You can also unsplit this kind of whole stuff here. That allows you access to this panel here without putting undue stress on it because it is a thinner piece of plastic. You can just collapse that, kind of keep your mind on it, keep it out of the way. My head did just detach. We'll fix that later. And let's see. Let's split the legs. And if you separate them right here, move the foot down, and then there's a black piece down here. This actually, it comes down even further, but you have to do it by using this sliding bar, and I'm just not a big fan of that, but that's how it's done. So we'll do the same on the other side. Split it there. Extend it on this double hinge knee. Maybe we haven't done that yet. No worries. Slide this bit down. And then extend the knees. So yeah, we hadn't done it yet. You can slide this bit down here and this bit down here, and then just move the foot up and collapse it to get it about halfway down that sliding bar. And collapse. Open these tabs here and then collapse them. And that fills in the thighs. That's the lower body done, and that's actually the enjoyable part. Now we'll move on to this. My kids are going crazy. Forgive me. Sorry about that. Open these arms up. Rotate them around. That gets the arms out of the way. And we're not going to worry about the head. It goes on that ball joint, as you can see. We'll fix that later. But this is where everything kind of has to happen. You can move these down. And this piece has to come up. This black piece here. It's like a softer plastic. It's softer, I'll tell you why. Because you have to rotate these tires in. And then you're supposed to slide this up through the tires, but you don't really slide it. You end up jamming it. Let me see if I can show you that right now. There. And then this piece comes up and out of the way. Bring the chest up. Take your front hood pieces. They go up underneath there. And that's that. And I think that's how you have it. Looks awesome. And then take these two flaps here, bring them down, and then this sort of sits back in here. It's on a double hinge and plugs into these two ports here. Well, let's say plug. Well, you're using the term loosely because this doesn't really stay. It's a reoccurring problem with the whole piece. And we'll plug the head back in. Actually, I'll plug the head back in later. It's not worth it because this is going to come untabbed again. And plus, trust me, when we go through articulation, I'm sure it'll come untabbed 100 times, as it just did now. This bit here, all the connector points for this are at the bottom, so the top pieces end up splitting apart on you. Just fold this through here, and on this one, that's where you would plug in the accessory. We're not even going to bother. weapon here. It's hard because it has that flash that we were talking about at the very beginning. I told you I wasn't crazy. I told you I saw it. It has that flash around the seams, so it's making it hard to fit in, but it will. It plugs in just fine. I've done it before. Just take my word for it. Let me get the head on him and we'll take a look at him. The head sculpt, we got the silver finish on the paint, and the eyes are painted blue, and the yellow was painted and needs a second coat, same as the alternate, which you would just take out the screw in the back and then slide all this on. We're not going to do all that. There's the alternate wings if you don't prefer those angles. So it's on a ball joint. Let's take. I have a little. Oh my God. Okay, so this thing is going to come untabbed all the time. That's a huge problem with this whole piece. Is that that's not a good connection there, and it's really the only thing that's securing the entire torso are those two tabs. So that's a problem. Let's get his little peekaboo up and take a look at the head articulation. You got a ball joint, so you got a swivel, but it's a poor tolerance. And if you look right here at this hinge and look at the amount of torque I'm putting on it in order to move. Do you see that? God, tell me you can see that. Because that's not good for the toy, but that's what happens. And then you get a little bit up and a little bit down. We're going to tuck it in there so you can see the up. So that actually looks good. It doesn't look good sculpt wise. And then down. See, like this doesn't sit in there and like, oh, it just came undone again. And I'm keeping, just as an idea, I'm keeping pressure on these connections. To try to keep it together. I'm keeping pressure on it the entire time, but it just comes undone. It doesn't look right. Like, it doesn't look right with the head sitting on there like that. It looks like the head is too far forward, like it's too far towards the edge of the chest. But in order to have room for the back of the head, I mean, that's where it needs to be. But it's not right. It ain't right. Among other things. So that's all a bit airy. Not the biggest deal in the world if everything else was good, but since everything else is not good, it's worth pointing out. We have this hinge here, which gets you a little bit of a butterfly joint, which is nice to have. You have a ball joint that's poorly toleranced here, which is nice to have because this is on a ball joint. And you know me in general, just speaking generally, I don't believe that ball joints have a place for modern-day Masterpiece figures. Why, you ask? But why, Skullface? Why? Because look at his range of motion. Look, that's it. That's it. Now you can turn around. But that's it. And you've got all the room in the world. You got all the room in the world to engineer something in there to make it go more, but you choose not to use it. So that's a bit of a bummer. Poorly done yellow paint there. It's sharp, but it needs a second coat, and it's not really sticking that well. And it doesn't match the yellow plastic here, nor the yellow plastic which is there, which is a bit paler. I hope you can see this. So it's like a pale yellow, and then the painted yellow, and then a different color, like a deeper yellow there. The hands actually look good. They match this plastic up here a bit better. You got a swivel there, and a base knuckle hinge, and he holds his weapon fine. He can't shoot out to the side, obviously, but if you move it forward, he can't really hold it either, I guess, to be fair. You know, he's got a, I mean, that's going to be problematic, obviously. If you have dastardly villains trying to ruin the day, you're not going to be able to do much heroing about if you can't hold your rifle up. But maybe if you hold it at the double-hinged elbow, then you get the tension you need to hold the gun forward. So there's the key. And it is a double-hinged elbow, and it gets you the full spread, so that's nice. Other side, same articulation. Waist swivel is intact. And looking at the back of the figure, it cleans up like a champ. I think that's a really nice back, so to speak. It hides the horrors within, but I think that it holds it. This all cleans up very well. We have, oh, it came unplugged again. That's not good, is it? So we have waist flaps here, and that's the paler yellow, and you can lift them up. Also on the side, they're all on hinges to reveal your, I lost something in here, didn't I? No. Universal joints. Not the worst, but not the best. Out to the side, maybe the worst. There's no, I mean, I guess it's friction universals in name only, if you know what I'm saying. And then same for the other side. Ooh, much better. Let's see if we hit a point of no return. We do. And these don't even feel as good. But they're alright. Back to there. Full split. Get your head back in there. And then we have a double jointed knee, which gets you a great range. So that's nice. We have the yellow, the pale yellow against the painted yellow. Now that's a bummer because this yellow actually looks okay. They should have used this yellow because this yellow looks very cheap. Robert D's been saying it feels worse than knockoff plastic. It doesn't necessarily feel worse than knockoff plastic to me. It feels like okay-ish. But the paint, the yellow finish on there is really nice. I think it's a really nice yellow finish on there. But on the other bits, it's terrible. You get a toe tilt all the way back and around, and even up a bit. And you get an ankle rocker, but it's at the calf, so it looks a little dumb, but it'll get the job done. Black plastic against the yellow plastic, not a lick of paint. Thigh swivel's built into the universal, so you get that as well. You got a little bit of plastic rubbing against plastic there, but it's not the worst. I've seen worse. And that's this guy in a nutshell. I tell you, I feel like I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't compare him. Peekaboo. So there he is with Sun Surge, and if you want to see Sun Surge's articulation, you can look at the Sun Surge video. That's not really what I want to compare here, because what I want to compare ultimately, I mean, the shoulders is just, I mean, let's get that out of the way anyway. But what I want to compare here is just finished proportions, because that's what sold me on Sun Surge in the first place. I like Sun Surge's general build. Like, it's a chest, it clearly goes down. It's a faux window. I know people get bent out of shape about that. Not I, but people do. Faux window goes down into an abdomen, into a waist, out to legs, arms, shoulder, like all that. Like, the proportions look good. The head is sitting nice and back towards the back of the bot. It's a deep yellow. I think it looks good. Whereas this kind of looks like chuggish to me. Like, that looks to me, and I just, you know, maybe I'm from another planet, but that looks like a finished bot. This looks like alternators maybe, or chuggish, you know. It doesn't look finished. Like, this doesn't look finished. It looks like there's more work to be done here. I got news for you. There is more work to be done here, but I mean specifically in this area, it looks like you're not finished transforming it yet. The head, to me, sits too far forward. But size-wise, I mean, he's a good bit bigger. You know, in the backpack, I mean, his clearly smokes his. You know, not even a question. What's going on down here? Well, I think I was doing this as like to see which look I liked better. It doesn't matter. Let's put side swipe in the middle because, you know, people like to display Sun Surge with side swipe. And like, I feel like a lot of times I got to stand him like, you know, like knee bent and then back a little bit to kind of keep him balanced. Let me get side swipe. Yeah, I just feel like these two are cut more from a similar cloth, just in their finished look. Whereas I feel like this guy is like somebody's unwanted child or something. No, we're not going to do that. Look, I'll be honest, it's not the piece itself that makes me want to hurt it. It's the fact that the people behind it, whoever they may be, and I know there's blame to be laid at all tables, design tables, manufacturing tables. I know there's blame to be thrown around. I get it, okay? It's not my first day. But I feel like asking $100 American for this. I'm not sure what it is in other countries, which is why I'm using the United States dollar as a standard in this given conversation, is highway robbery. I feel like somebody needs to be held accountable for charging people $100 for this. Now, to be fair, it's the consumer's fault for ultimately spending that $100, and I'm not denying that. Final thoughts-wise, here's the negative, okay? the transformation is sloppy. And the parts that you really need to work out properly don't work out properly. There's a number of reasons for this. One of which being that the tabs here are the only thing really keeping it together. And as you can already see, they've already come out again. And I just can't be bothered with it at this point. But that's the only thing really keeping this top part together. The rest of it is being held with tension by that piece being slid up through the bottom and this piece being jammed forcibly up through the top. For the feet, they're fine. The problem is that all the weight of the figure gets distributed down to this sliding pin. Now, I happen to have a sliding pin that's pretty well toleranced, but I've seen some where the sliding pin is not. So if that's not well toleranced and these knees aren't well toleranced, you have a ratchet. Well, no, it's not a ratchet. It's meant to look like one, of course, but it's not one. But you have a single pin right there through that small piece of plastic where the weight is also distributed. So let's look at the problem. So you have all this weight up here, and not weight in the sense of that it's great plastic or die cast or anything like that. No, sir, that's not what I mean. I mean that the bulk of the figure is sitting up here. It gets sent down through the legs into two small pins and then redistributed down into two sliding bars. Whether or not those sliding bars are going to be well toleranced, do you want me to give you your answer? Fair enough, I will. Pick a number right now in your head, 1 through 6. We're gonna interact a bit together. Pick a number, 1 through 6. Got it? Was it 4? If it's not 4, you're out of luck. There's no ratchets on this thing. And I know ratchets have become kind of this thing where it's like some people hate them now. But what ratchets help do is secure a position. And what this thing has a lot of hard times doing is securing its position because of poor tolerance ball joints, because of poor pieces that stick together, because of weight being distributed to two rickety hinges or sliding mechanisms. So a ratchet would have been nice. Another big problem for me is that Sunstreaker is yellow. But he's not 3 different shades of yellow, unless we're talking highlights and shadows like Get Right Robot does for his customs. We're talking about a solid piece of yellow that's then highlight and shadowed. But what we have here is yellow paint that is really well done, if you want my honest opinion, like surprisingly good. We have a thin looking pale yellow plastic that looks horrible, and then we have a deeper yellow plastic which I think looks pretty good. So that is an eyesore just off the top. So what can you do with this thing? That's the question. It serves no purpose as a robot. You can't pose him well because he doesn't lend himself to posing because the proportions are so wonky. And nothing really tabs together securely. Well, to say nothing is fairly is somewhat unfair, but not a lot of it secures well together. I don't even look at you. So that option's out. So you can have him standing straight up and down, but I don't feel like. I'm bringing this in, but I don't feel like that even the straight up and down look is really a great look, and that's mainly because of this area, which I feel like is similar. Before everybody gets bent out of shape, I'm getting ready to say something. It's going to hurt some people's feelings. I don't mean to hurt your feelings. It's not a personal attack on you. What it is a comparison. What is wrong about this proportion-wise in this area that's really an eyesore for me, and the reason why you can't even display it straight up and down, in my opinion, is that this is wrong. It's just a block with his waist sitting under it. There's no abdomen. In the cartoon, he had an abdomen. And this is a Masterpiece line. So it's trying to be a Masterpiece scaled figure. It's trying to fit in with that collection. And in my opinion, the only other thing that I can draw a comparison to, only in this specific criticism, is Ironhide. The Masterpiece Ironhide, to me, is all out of sorts in the proportions of the same area. That's not to say they're built the same. Ironhide is built incredibly well. I'm just saying that aesthetically they're both off, and it's an eyesore, and it's something that I would struggle with and do struggle with in having him displayed in my collection, that I think you might as well. Peekaboo. The positives come down to 3 things. They're quite simple. The car mode looks great. The back of the figure cleans up fantastically, and the paint is fantastic where it is applied on the body of the vehicle, not so much on the crest of the head or on the shoulders. But the part that makes up the bulk of the vehicle is done pretty well. I don't feel like this is a company without a future, but I feel like that future needs to be really, really thought about and refined. There's a lot going on here if this is a new company. I know, trust me, I know all the rumors of who this is and all that. If they don't want to say it's them, I'm not going to say it's them. But what I will say is that aside from the tapes, I don't have a product from them that's this off. And I mean that. Even so-and-so, I don't have a product from them that's this off. It's way off. And my problem isn't with the product. If this was like a first attempt at a humble price and a give it a shot, I would be more lenient. But what this is a $100 figure. And to ask $100 for this, it ain't right. But I wish them the best. Because what I want at the end of the day is more companies making figures that I want to buy. So I want them to do well. I want all these companies to do well. But $100 for this figure is just, it's wrong. I know what you're asking. What price would you say this figure is worth it? If you wanted to display this figure in alt mode, with like a G1 alt mode set you were building, like the arc bots all in alt mode across the shelf, 20 bucks? 25 bucks? Maybe? I don't think more than 25. If you were doing it in robot, I'm not sure I'd say more than 20. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news. If you bought this and you like it, I'm happy for you. There's nothing better than spending hard-earned money and being happy with your purchase. My opinion is no more valid than yours. I'm just giving you my opinion and giving you the reasons what I'm basing my opinion off of. So once again, shout out to Toy Dojo. I am going to have to transform this thing and put it back in the box, so let's hope it survives the process. But they did want this reviewed, and I think they wanted it reviewed by me, because there's not many that's going to say it like I say it when it comes to stuff of this caliber, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.